Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
I was looking at that peace tea can right there.
This
Those
is
things always have the funniest drawings on them.
The snowberry one. No, I'm looking at this because
Is that what it's called? Is that the flavor, snowberry?
snowberry. See how it's spelled S-N-O. So, those clever folks at Peace Tea. But no,
When you were a kid, did you ever used to take snow and put it in a cup and then pour like Coke over it or orange soda?
I didn't grow up with snow, so
I guess that's
no.
true. At San Jose, they don't have snow.
It snowed one time in San Jose, and it was like, yeah, it's snowing, but it would just be kind of like, it would almost be like,
Was it kind of like the King of the Hill episode where like it snows one time there and everybody's all driving? It's like, oh god, there's snow on the road.
It wasn't like that. It was
And there's
more
like little, there's not even like an inch.
It was more like it snowed, and well, a kid like everyone's like, oh look, it's snowing, but the kids are all excited, like, yeah, it's snowing, but it was only enough, just not even enough to stick to the ground. It was just the fact it was snowing in San Jose got people excited. Then you'd almost, some kids, you'd always want to go to the snow, and then like there'd be those mornings where like in like probably early like late fall through winter when there's a lot of frost on the ground, and there would be those kids like in recess early, maybe before, but technically when you're out on that thing where you're out in the playground, it's not really recess. We're out in the playground before you have to go into the class and all that. You know what I mean?
Like the break.
Not so much the break. Maybe I'm getting things.
I think because I always think mostly there was recess was the ones that were like the short ones, and then there was like the lunch, which was
well,
the
I guess
long
there's a
one.
thing. I guess sometimes kids just go play in the playgrounds before they actually had to go to class or whatever. That kind of thing.
Is it before school or after school?
I guess it's before
Or
school.
maybe-
I'm getting a little fuzzy
Oh,
here.
so that's just more like those poor kids that get dropped off. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Billy, you play here for 2 hours.
Or just walk there.
You get smart now.
Instead of a backpack, they have a sack and bindle or something. But anyway, they would almost
Your
kind of.
mom's got to go to the factory right now. You don't want to work at the factory, do you, Billy?
No.
That's right, Billy. You get smart.
When you
smart,
get-
smart, 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 smart.
When you-
Smart, smart, smart.
He drives off in his fucking Bronco that barely runs. But no,
That's his mom.
That's the mom. The dad's at home, just like watching, like divorce court, just
Chucking a baseball against the wall.
just watching daytime TV. Wheel of Fortune. Anyway. But those kids would they'd kind of try and gather up all the frost they could and try and make ghetto snowballs out of them. What's
It's
we
all,
call
black and
We just call them ghetto balls because they were like these like chunks of ice that like were you could see their ice, but they're like gray. They had a little bit of dirt in them.
smog stuck in it.
Well, they would get it from they gather it from the grass. They'd scratch it off like playground equipment or whatever. No, but going back on this this can of Peace Tea though, it's funny because you see it's like out in Antarctica or something, and you
Antarctica,
see
you mean
whatever.
Alaska? There's not Eskimos in Antarctica though.
There aren't? Oh, okay.
Nor is there polar bears.
Oh, okay. Wait.
okay.
Somewhere that's fucking cold. So you see a bunch of people kind of gathering around, looking like they're having a good time. They're mostly white people, and then there's like this one. I guess what's the technical term for an Eskimo? Is it Eskimo like Supi? What is it? Or
Eskimo is the technical term.
as it is a technical term? I wasn't sure. Okay. Anyway,
I think once you get down to it, you can break them down to like their like kind of groups or whatever.
yeah.
Sort of like the Americans, like their clans.
Mm-hmm. Like
so
Apache and
yeah.
whatnot, yeah.
But I mean, like it's
But anyway, and there's like one Eskimo woman here with her kid, just this look like, what the fuck are all these white people doing here?
And then right behind it, there's like these other guys, like, hey, look, guys, a bonfire. And they're like, fuck, that was all our wood for the whole year.
No, it's
Fucking
just
white people, and they're burning it next to the fucking
and they're next to the igloo.
igloo. Yeah,
It's
so
gonna
it's like
fucking melt the house. It looks like they all kind of like just gang, like, oh look,
here's another Eskimo guy. He's working. Like,
Yeah.
He's fucking like fishing. He's just got this.
God fucking damn it.
Fuck it, that white blonde chick over there fucking petting my penguin and shit.
The polar bear.
Why is a penguin and a polar bear in the same area? I don't fucking know, but
Were they giant?
white
like,
people seem to bring everything together, but not in a good way.
like, hey, look, an igloo. Let's go say hi. Oh, hey, oh fuck, they brought their whole fucking family.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
See what happens, Sue? This
Oh,
is
the
fucking-
kid is inside. He's taking a piss inside the igloo. Fuck!
Yeah, so that's what happens when Americans go to Alaska. Please.
It's funny, those peace teas, it's like kind of like, they might really kind of like, definitely made by like a sort of like yuppie company where it's like, well, I remember what it was like to be a hippie. Kind of forgot like 20 years ago.
I just get them because they're good. It's not like,
No,
I love the
I'm not saying
artwork.
it's the drip. I'm talking about like the artwork on it. Because every single one of them has this really weird kind of like somebody separated from time kind of artwork.
There's one that I want to say, I don't remember which flavor it is, but there's one where it looks kind of like the kid that played Anakin Skywalker in Episode 1. And he's just sitting on his dad's shoulders, looking very bored, like, what the fuck's going on? They're like at a concert or something, like, I could not be more fucking bored. And there's another guy that looks
Took me to see Wavy Gravy Dad. Fuck.
Oh, with the spin doctors opening, you know, and then like some guy like in the front row looks like identical to Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what. Sometimes like this guy got a fucking job. Jesus. Okay.
I don't know.
It's not that
Well, the
bad.
artwork's good. It's just
not that it's bad.
It's the
It's
way
weird.
it's placed together. It just I think is weird.
Always looks like the weirdest thing. Plus, there's the Caddyshack one where you see like a bunch, which is technically just Arnold Palmer, but it's just like a bunch of. I guess there's probably a licensing thing with his likeness or whatever. But you see, just for whatever reason, a bunch of people happy, and then in the background, a bunch of people angry on their phones yelling.
Yeah, just like what the hell.
And if you look, there's actually a girl, like some little kind of yuppie / hippie chick, looking all kind of shy and nice, holding like a tennis racket over her shoulder. But then there's some kind of like it's a weird fusion. It's like some kind of like polo looking hippie with dreadlocks, hunched over, smile. It looks kind of like Eddie Vedder almost. But he has the Monster M on his shirt where the polo thing should be.
It's weird.
It is weird. I just noticed that the other day.
Huh. I know, there's something new to a piece to each time you drink one.
I don't know, yeah. It's kind of like, where's Waldo? What's on this thing today?
You know what movie I was watching the other day? It was Titan AE.
I remember that movie. I wish I had that on VHS, but yeah.
Well, the last time I remember watching was I watched it with Kyle, like when he got it on VHS. And I think that was the last time I saw it. So it was been such a long time that it was kind of one of those movies like when I watch it, like it's almost all new again. It's like you remember tidbits and that's about it.
Well, I remember it was like one of the first like traditional anime. Well, there's still CG in it.
Well, it's like a half movie. It's like half CG, half traditional animation.
But it was advertising itself on the traditional animation thing. It was one of the first ones in a while that didn't have the whole song and dance thing, and they were almost advertising it like. Because I had the VHS when DVDs were on their way in and VHS were on their way out, and they had like get the special features on the VHS just after the movie, and they had people saying, "Yeah, this ain't your mom and dad's like cartoon." They're all trying to rub it in your face about it.
Well, it's funny because I think the last one, because it's a Fox like animation movie, and I think the last thing they made was Anastasia prior to that.
I thought that was after Anastasia. Maybe it wasn't.
No,
Titan
Titan
AE?
AE is after Anastasia.
Oh, okay.
Anastasia I think is 97 and Titan AE is 2000.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
There might be something in between, but sometimes with animation they take a couple of years.
Yeah.
But so it's like really, I think they start with Ferngully, then Thumbelina, then Anastasia, and Titan AE.
I don't like Thumbelina. Like every girl I know likes Thumbelina, but I tried sitting it through.
Do you like Ferngully?
What?
Do you like Ferngully?
I don't know if I like it now. I remember watching it as a kid and liking it. I don't know if I like it now.
That was the
It's
first
good,
movie I ever saw in theaters. Was
good
Ferngully.
message, but you know.
That's still pretty good one. You should check it out.
Ferngully?
It's even got the guy. It has like
Robin Williams is a bat with like a rope with a radio in his ear or something like that. Right?
Yeah, Robin Williams is in it. Which really, if you watch that movie, you kind of see that Disney stole a lot from like Fox on that, because it's like, okay, well, let's get Robin Williams be the genie, and then there's two other actors in it too that they just kind of like picked. I think they're in The Lion King. Could be wrong. Oh, because Cheech is in it, even though he was in.
He was probably one of the bikers, wasn't he? Well, I bet.
Yeah, he's one of those like bikers on.
Or was he the lazy lizard? Remember, there's kind of.
No, he was like the bikers on like the ladybugs or whatever. I can't remember. Yeah. But there's something else in there I can't remember now. But that one's actually still really good. That holds up pretty darn well. I like that one a lot.
I don't know how I feel about that. There's certain of those old Disney movies or just old animated movies that kind of still hold up to me, and I haven't really watched them in a while. But like Aladdin, Lion King, and it's not so much.
I always think The Lion King. Not saying it's like your favorite movie or anything, but I always think that's like the pinnacle of any Disney movie. Just overall, just from animation, the sound, the music, the story. I really do think that one just is. It's not my favorite one, but I think that just is the highest Disney movie.
That's probably one of my favorite ones, and plus on top of that, it's also like.
I think it's my second. I think I like Aladdin just a tad bit more, but that's more just like a personal choice.
It's more like I'm not sure. Like the music is not even something I throw on my MP3 player listen to, but it is kind of like you get nostalgic when you hear it.
You just don't just bust out your car like, I just can't just wait to be king.
Be working, I just have my MP3 player and shuffle. It goes from like Iggy Pop and Rage Against the Machine to kind of like Kuna Matata or some shit like that. That'd be kind of awkward. No, there's one time it was actually a very quiet night at the restaurant, and I just had the thing on shuffle. I have the Pulp Fiction soundtrack on there. And
sometimes weird shit comes out when you have like soundtracks on.
And it went from like play 2 Pulp Fiction tracks on the same night. Like bring out the gun. You could hear it from the kitchen, like what the fuck's going on in there. Then you also hear like just 2 or 3 tracks later, it has the Jules Winfield speech where he's quoting the Bible, and it ends with him firing the gun. You couldn't hear him yelling, but you just hear the gun.
That's pretty funny.
Well, I didn't hear any backbeats, so I don't think they're listening to rap. So what is that back there?
Yeah, it's just your gunfire and a guy yelling.
Guys, you do just hear like Brett, just the loud scream, yeah! Bang, 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 you know.
Oh, you know on Titan AE that Josh Whedon was one of the writers?
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense when you see it, but it's like...
I do remember now I think back on it, it did have a little bit of a Serenity kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it pretty much does.
Kind of like how it's not like... Well, I guess you've had this in Star Wars, but Star Wars was just kind of for a minute, because later they joined the whole Resistance. But I guess the whole idea of kind of like being sort of like smuggler/pirate ship, and kind of like the romance of that, sort of, you know?
Yeah, kind of like, pirates in the future.
Yeah, kind of like that whole idea, just this weird ragtag team. And that makes sense that Joss Whedon be writing that, given Firefly and Serenity and all that.
Even though this is still pre-Firefly and Serenity.
I know, but I'm saying it's one of those things you could see where it kind of came
leads
from.
into.
Or at least the interest from it, yeah.
But that's a pretty good one, though. I like it. It kind of reminds me, really what it is, though, it's like a PG Heavy Metal 2000.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Because it has like that same style of animation, just kind of minds the same thing. I mean, it's got kind of like music throughout it in that same way, except for like the only really heavy song is Power Man 5000.
Power Man 5000.
Because everything else is like pop punk, and then there's like
the electro kind of rock song when
like
when they're flying through the nebula the nebula, and there's a little like space dolphin things chasing them or whatever.
Oh yeah, and then there's a reggae song in it at some point too.
Yeah. Well, most of that movie is usually, it's just playing on the radio or whatever. There's a few moments where they play it, like the Power Man 5000 part. I remember, like, I was sitting in the theater with my friends. Remember they say, somewhere in that song, they say the line "crazy as hell" or something like that. It's like, this is not a kid's movie.
My parents must think I'm so adult now.
Yeah, you almost like, when you're a kid,
My mom's probably going to let me drive home.
This cartoon said hell, or there's a little bit of blood. They'll think it's so mature now, you know?
Next thing you know... My parents will let me pay the bills.
They'll give me a can of tobacco for my birthday.
And tell me I can hold the shotgun on the porch.
Even though we live in San Jose, so. But no.
And then I read these other cool facts the other day, these Schwarzenegger facts. That, do you know that Minority Report was supposed to be an actual sequel to Total Recall originally?
Really?
Yeah. And then what happened is during this time, Arnold Schwarzenegger got turned down from a lot of movies because he had like heart surgery. So they're like, oh, well, you get heart surgery and you can't do anything anymore. It's like, and he got the one kind that's like, no, this one's natural. I can do everything again. Don't worry. But people kind of got iffy about him at that point.
Oh.
And then also, the I Am Legend. That was supposed to be a Schwarzenegger movie directed by Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like the Will Smith one, but I think that would have been way better.
I think that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's never happened before, has it?
Nope.
I almost kind of want them, even though it's still like not that old of a movie, and they're talking about doing the I Am Legend prequel. Just fuck it. Just go ahead and go. Like we're gonna reboot it again. This time, Ridley Scott, Arnold. Cause
sometimes if there's an idea that good, it's like fucking do it.
Yeah.
I know.
He's apparently still doing Prometheus too, so that's good.
That's good because
they're talking about him just like producing it or whatever. But.
Well, I'm glad to see he's doing. Or even if I'm glad to see at least Prometheus 2's coming out. Even if he didn't direct it, I'd rather have him direct it. Mm-hmm. But we've learned past Aliens that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Mm-hmm. I think that Prometheus is something where it's kind of like. It's not a perfect movie. I still really enjoyed it. It's not perfect, but out of that, it's kind of like...
It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close, though. I don't think it's that far from perfect.
It's only one of those things that's kind of like there's just a couple little plot holes, but those plot holes, actually, in my opinion, in some way, just make it kind of funny. Because
well, to me, it makes it better. I really think that makes it better to me.
Just because of the humor aspect of it?
Well, because the humor. And it's like one of those ones, like, that's fine. Like, that doesn't... Just because, like, there's something kind of like plot holes doesn't always mean that brings the movie down. Mm-hmm. Sounds weird, but it doesn't have to.
For me, it's one of those things, it's like a flaw of the movie, but I still thought it was just funny. It didn't really bother me that much. It's just the whole aspect of kind of like how we said this before, but how like the geologist and the other guy got lost in the cave, even though he threw the little like micro ball things around, scanned the whole area.
He's the fucking guy who's there to make the map.
And they somehow get lost, yet they still have the signal back at the station, back at the main base. they don't have something that can relay the information back
But
out
America's
of
like that, the dust or whatever, like the space cloud is what blocks the signal, so that's why they're stuck in there. They can't communicate back and forth.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe there's that part. But they still were able to
But still, I just think it's like, boy, this guy, he's like, oh, but I don't make the maps, me balls make the maps.
I'll just make the balls.
I'll make balls, balls make maps. That's how it works. That's how it's always been. I'm a geologist.
That was just so funny to me because of the whole thing, like, when you first see him, he's like arms crossed, feet up behind another
He's like,
chair.
he must be that mercenary they hired to like be the bodyguard or something.
And he's like, I'm a geologist. He said like he's just such a badass. Like, oh, real? Oh, okay. And then the second things go bad, he's like,
I'm fucking out of here.
such a
Fuck
pussy.
you and fuck your space people.
He's such a pussy all of a sudden, yeah. And I don't know. I think more Alien is better than no Alien. It's kind of like people complain all they want about the Star Wars prequels, but
More Star Wars is better than no Star Wars.
that's how I feel, you know. And it's kind of, in all honesty, the whole thing was Disney now coming out with Star Wars.
More Star Wars is better than no Star Wars.
Oh yeah, but it was almost one of those things. It almost kind of reignited my fandom of Star Wars, even though I mean, I don't know what these ones are going to be like, but just the old original Star Wars films, because it was kind of like once in high school, once those movies were done, it's kind of like, well, I guess I got no more Star Wars to really look forward to, so whatever. I mean, there's a couple of games here and there that I'm sure will come out that'll be good, but now
it was kind of like, well, I guess that's it to look forward to for the moment.
yeah, now that though, that's because that was the thing. I mean, before Batman,
Guess I'll move on to Star Trek next.
I never really moved on to Star Trek. I never really got into Star Trek. I mean, I like the J.J. Abrams movies, and someday I want to sit down and watch the original movies, but yeah, never really got into it. But the Star Wars ones, though, it almost kind of like, it makes me want to kind of go back and watch the old movies and maybe even kind of like look into like the expanded universe stuff a little bit.
You know, it's been a while. I actually haven't watched the Star Wars movies in quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's been at least a good handful of years. I'm going to say at least about 3 years or so. It's been a while. And that's sort of, I think it always is. Just there's so many movies out there. You know, you watch movies and then you
can quote the whole movie.
Yeah, it's like I've seen the movie so many times, so it's like I don't always feel it's totally necessary to go back and watch it. You know, I think about it all the time. I always think about it, but then there's always like, well, then there's a stack of movies there that looks at me every day too. Like, yo, when are you gonna watch me?
I kind of got that too. Like
stack of movies just sits there and eyes you. Or the point where it's like, yeah, movies that are fucking still sealed.
Yeah, I got.
I think about that all the time. Like when I was a kid, especially when I have games that sit there sealed. I remember getting a game when I was a kid, and on the car ride home, you opened it up, you fucking looked through the booklet, like you read the whole thing front and back like 3 times over because it took like a half an hour to get back home. And then the second you got home, you ran. You didn't fucking walk. You ran. And then you jumped in, you put the game in, you were playing in seconds. And even if you bought multiple games in that same day, and that night you played all of them at least a bit.
Yeah.
You know, and nowadays I could buy a fucking game, open it out of the package or whatever, or like the package is in like the mail envelope.
Yeah.
And then I go, look front, back, oh, looks cool, set it down, and not get to it for like 3 weeks.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm kind of that same
I'll
way.
get to it. I like the buying part more than the playing part.
I'm not sure we said this on the podcast, but there's actually one time you and me were at GameStop and the land that shall not be named, but you know, but GameStop, and we ended up I ended up buying the Prince of Persia, the cell shaded one. The one, the one that
really artsy, neat looking one.
The artsy one. I remember bought the game. It was like I think $10 or something, and then
not even less.
Yeah, it was like $10. It wasn't a whole lot of money, and I bought it. And I crashed at your place that night, and I guess I forgot that I had it there. And then 9 months later, you said, "Oh, by the way, you left this at my house," and you dropped it down on me like, "Oh, that's right, I bought this, didn't I?" Which that shit would have never happened.
Well, that too, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I found this on the couch."
Yeah, because I want to say we sat on the couch. I guess got jammed in there.
It was
somehow.
underneath the pads or something.
Yeah, so it was one of those things that would not happen this day and age. But that would not happen when you're a kid. Now it's just like, oh, whatever, I'll get to
I literally have this stack of games just because sometimes when you see things on sale, it's like movies, you know, you see them on sale or anything else, you're like, well, fuck, it's not going to be there forever at that price, so I'll buy that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have I probably have about 6 to 8 games sitting there. It's like that kind of need to get played at some point. Mm-hmm. And I do have this thing in the back of my mind, like, a couple of those games might never ever be played.
There's a couple games,
because it's just the time issue.
Time issue, just the new animations, and also other things from life in general. No, there's last game I remember playing just only the first 15 minutes of it, never getting into it. I ended up selling it to a friend. I ended up giving it to a friend because I felt bad because I was like, I don't want to sell this thing if I didn't really use it. I just gave it to a friend who really wanted the game, which was Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door for GameCube.
Oh yeah.
It was a good game. It was just one of those things. You just put it in and just I don't know. I beat like the first like boss or something, and then I never really got back into it. You know.
Well, lots of times I'll get games and I'll play them for like an hour or two, and then I'll kind of go, well, this is kind of what all the game is, and then like sometimes I'll just sell them back so quickly that I get the same price for them, so I don't. It's like I feel like I didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a couple $1 difference, like well, that's like I rented the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes it happens. It's like it's either games capture my attention right away and just like you go all the way through it. Or just there's some games it's just even if they're really good games, there's something about it's just not the right moment. Kind of like say you do have movies too. You put a movie on, it could be a really good movie, but sometimes if you're not in that kind of mood for that type of movie, you'll turn it off and go, well, I'll get back to this at another point.
Another example, I talk about this movie a lot, and I love this movie, Wild Bunch. When I first got that movie, wasn't in the mood really of the kind of movie it was, and it took me. I didn't watch that movie for about 3 months. I watched the first 20 minutes of it, which the first 20 minutes is just fucking awesome because they have that crazy shootout.
Yeah.
The heist goes wrong, and they realize you just stole the silver donuts, or not even silver, just the little donut things, and the washers. That's what they were. And
give me your donuts.
I'm losing some weight. Come on, give me some trick. Anyway, and after that, because then they're just on like horseback for a while, just talking. It was just like, this is cool and all, but I'll get around to it. I'll watch it later. And then when I come back around to it, though, I was just so into that movie, and nothing would stop me from finishing that movie. I can now watch that movie like front to back and not really kind of get interrupted at all.
It's what's sometimes like it's nothing to do with the content. It's just the timing. And, you know, timing can change everything.
Speaking of that, I'm not sure if I ever said this on the podcast, and who knows, this stuff they toss this stuff around, and then sometimes never comes back again. But they were talking about doing a remake to the Wild Bunch starring Will Smith.
Oh, I know. I heard about that.
Yeah, which I don't know if you need to have a remake to the Wild Bunch, and I know that a lot of people are saying like Will Smith, Wild Wild West, what? And like, well, I mean that could be. I'm sure they'll go something different. Him as William Holden, you know. No, I think that could. I mean, who knows? I think that could be interesting. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to it. I mean, that
sounds like one of those like producer things, like. You know, Django was popular, meaning black cowboys are popular.
I didn't even think of that, but I guess you could add another because the original Wild Bunch, I mean, I'm not sure how historically accurate it is, but it is a pretty gritty movie. So I guess you can add in a whole other dynamic to give him that much. I'm assuming he'd be the William Holden character. Yeah. I'm assuming to give that much more of the underdog in the late 1800s, early 1900s. You know. Yeah. So. It could be interesting. I don't think it needs to happen, but if it does, I mean, I'll give it a chance because it's one of my favorite westerns. So,
well, there's that kind of thing. It's like I know that there's sort of how remakes can work is that you know sometimes you have a movie that's so good, it's like why remake it? But there is the thing that says that's like yeah, but a lot of people forgot about that old movie, and a lot of people won't watch an old movie, so that's why we remake it because it's that good of a story that it should be told. And we know people won't go back. That's why that 1999 Psycho was made.
I was about to say, that was the justification for
it was the fact it's like people fucking... Well, there's people out there that just won't watch a black and white movie. It's just how they are.
Sometimes they try and do... I feel like
we'll have those people go to the movies anyways.
Sometimes they actually try to, like, remake a movie and they just young it up or sexy it up. Like, for instance, Disturbia with Rearview Window.
Oh, yeah.
Which, look, when I first saw Disturbia, I'm like, oh, that was a good movie. I enjoyed it. But, in truth be told, I saw that before I saw Rearview Window. And after seeing Rearview Window, I was like...
There's no going back. Well, even Rearview Window's remade a couple times, too, because there's the one that has Superman in it.
Christopher Reeves?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
It's like in...
80s?
70s, I think. Somewhere. Maybe 80s. I can't remember. But there's that one, too.
Just the charm in that movie and how witty the dialogue is.
Superman, and just like, Superman got kryptonite poison, and now he's like, he's in a wheelchair for the moment. He's looking next door like, oh my god.
Was this actually when he was literally in the wheelchair for in real life?
I think it was, actually, to tell you the truth, actually. I think that's why, maybe it was a 90s movie then. I don't know, I can't remember. It's 70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere in that ballpark range.
Yeah. So... It was kind of like one of those things, like, even though, I get that seems more like a marketing thing. Just like, I mean, Disturbia, it's still an alright movie, but after watching Rearview Window, it's like, what's the point of going back?
Yeah, why would you watch Disturbia now?
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, that's what they do, is like, they make a movie like that, and I think the thing is, too, it's like, well, here's the thing, people will watch something like, let's just use Disturbia. They'll watch Disturbia, and then if they are that into the movie, maybe they'll go like, well, I want to see what this is based on, so I'll go back and watch the old one, and that's almost a gateway for them to maybe get into older pictures.
Yeah. Another
it's
one.
Not gonna work on everybody, but it might work.
And another one was I was gonna say one way you could go if you were gonna do the Wild Bunch remake. you could almost just take the basic concept, just a couple of old like bandits kind of reaching their end, and they're kind of running out of ground to run to. So so they can set up a heist, but just make the heist completely different. Instead of robbing like a military train and getting guns to like a Mexican to a Mexican cartel or whatever. It wasn't a cartel, but like just some
government.
Just a corrupt government official. Just make it some other kind of, just make it a different type of heist, something altogether.
Well, yeah, I think
but still has the core concept of the story.
That's also because you kind of give yourself a different movie. That's sort of like how the Red Dawn one, I think, is, because they both feel like they have the similar story, but they're so different from each other that it kind of makes it a different movie in all.
The Red Dawn remake, I didn't really, it was all right to me. I didn't really like it that much, but I will say that at least it did feel like a different movie.
Well, that's what I mean. It doesn't just follow the same story. Because I like that Red Dawn remake. I don't think it was like nearly as good as the old one, but it's still like I liked how it kind of captured all these different elements that the other one didn't do.
Yeah.
So you almost get this second picture that almost, if you mix them together in like a fusion dance, it would just get this whole world view.
There's one that I was thinking of that was on the tip of my tongue. It was a remake that came out. Mechanic. The original Charles Bronson Mechanic was way different than the Jason Statham Mechanic. In all honesty, even though I love Charles Bronson, the Jason Statham Mechanic was a much better movie.
That's a pretty good one.
Because they were actually, I thought that Nick Forrester and Jason Statham, Jason Statham was playing Jason Statham, but they were both like, they had more reason for doing what they were doing. Where in the original Mechanic, they were just kind of like two assholes. Mm-hmm. And the Nick Forrester...
Well, that's kind of the 70s style, though.
Yeah, and the character that Nick Forrester was reprising as in the original, he was more of like... You had no real sympathy for him. He's like, yeah, my dad died. I'm not really too sad about it. It just kind of happens. Hey, you kill people, right? Yeah, I do. And he like shows him the ropes and all that. But it's more like... I'm doing it just because I can. Where Nick Forrester really had to twist his arm and really try and prove himself. And he was an alcoholic. He was a mess. And it just made him that much more interesting. You want to see him evolve. And plus, he was actually really sad and distraught when his dad died. Where in
it's like, well,
the original, just like, because they get across in the remake that Jason Statham, he killed the dad because, like... Oh, he was framed into thinking the dad did something bad when he wasn't. He was actually working for the bad guy and didn't realize it. So he felt bad. He had this guilty conscience. Mm-hmm. 70s version, Charles Bronson, he's like, hey, this is a guy that was your best friends with your dad. You knew him your whole life. He kind of raised you a little bit. He's like, okay, I'll kill him. Really? Yeah, I'll kill him. No problem.
Money involved, right?
Yeah, that's all it was. And he had no real motivation for it. So he was just kind of a prick. So... That's why, and like, he even like killed him kind of like with that faint Charles Bronson smirk. So it's so it's kind of like, so I think that that's the case where the remake was actually a better movie.
Well, a lot of times those kind of movies, it's some movies I think they had a great concept, but they weren't able to deliver as well. Mm-hmm. So you could take that concept and then remake it and make it just a really good movie. Mm-hmm. I think that's a perfect example of something like that. Mm-hmm. One thing I've always said is like The Warriors. That's the number one movie I think that has a fantastic concept. Not that great a movie though. If they could just remake that could be a really good movie. But keep it still 70s, though. Like, don't do the stupid... I hate when they modernize things lots of times. There's a time and a place for that, but... Like, something like The Mechanic, like, that doesn't really make too much of a difference, because it's not like they're trying to push into, like, 2000s!
Yeah.
Where I feel like... I do have a fear that if they made, like, Warriors 1, it'd be just a bunch of guys out there, like, and, like, blasting rap music and whatnot, and, like, it would lose that 70s charm.
They may just set, like, in the 80s or something. Jump a decade further.
You could do that too. That'd be cool, just as cool. But I think keep it in the 70s though.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think makes that movie really cool, is the way that it looks and all that stuff. It's one of those movies that looks really cool. The concept idea is great, but it just does not deliver very good.
The Warriors,
and I've watched it multiple times going back. That's one of those movies that come back, and it's like a 2 out of 4 movie. It's like it has a great concept, but just like there's not that much action in it. They're always kind of just running, and then like. You have this main villain at the very end. He just gets taken out like in one punch, and he's on the ground like crying.
He gets his hand cut, and that's all.
Oh yeah, he gets his hand cut. That's what it is. Even worse.
Yeah. So that was kind of disappointing. And plus, they're trying to advertise it to our generation. It's like the Warriors video game, kids. Yeah. Play this shit. And then it was supposed to be like the prequel. It took place like several weeks before the movie, and then it leads into the movie.
Yeah.
Just trying to get people like. Because I guess that's when like retro stuff was coming back. That's when you saw a lot of people our age wearing Led Zeppelin and AC/DC t-shirts.
So like, we could sell them this shit too.
Yeah, And I mean, it worked because I went out and bought it because I was getting,
Yeah, I
was getting into film, saying, well, everybody tells me this is a classic, and by everybody, I just mean like
These two guys that work at a gas station.
Well, I mean, like it was like I remember seeing like things for. I want to say it was what was it? It was actually I want to
look at the covers and stuff, and it's just like this looks like my kind of movie.
Yeah, I want to say it was actually going back to G4 for a second. I want to say G4 had a special in the making of the game, and they were talking about the movie and this and that. Like it's a classic. It was the first to do this and that. I'm like, oh, awesome! And I just, why would the TV lie to me? I'm 17, So
Yeah.
I went out and bought it. I was just getting into film, and then. I'm like, it's probably going to get better with more times I watch it, and unfortunately, it never really did.
No, but it's a great concept, though. It's an amazing concept.
I just gave it to James, who was on the podcast a few weeks back, because like, he really likes that movie. I think maybe if you were in that generation...
Yeah, I can see if you kind of grew up watching... There's a lot of those kind of movies. I think a lot of movies in the 90s, too. Like,
there's some cool
like, there's movies that I grew up watching that I really like a lot, but I can see how somebody, like a kid nowadays, go back and be like, that's fucking stupid.
Like, there's
how do you like that?
There's some cool parts. Like, I like
not my fault. Fucking kids making fun of me.
Yeah, there's some cool parts. Like I like the part when they fight against the orphans or the guys all in the brown shirts and all that. Mm-hmm. That one of the few fights in the movie. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not like there's not cool stuff in it.
It's just it doesn't. It's more like you don't call it the warriors. You call it the runners because that's what they're doing most of the time. They're fucking running.
Running.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it has. Its movie has moments. Sort of like The Counselor, it has moments.
Yeah, kind of like the "Can you dig it, suckers?" Like that whole speech is pretty
cool.
awesome. That's cool. Yeah,
and just the look of it's cool. Mm-hmm. And the concept's amazing. But yeah, that's a movie that could be remade, but it has to be remade right. You would need somebody to come in who's gonna make it and go like, I understand what this is. I know why people like it a lot, and that's why I'm gonna keep it. Because I have a fear that it could be like the Footloose thing. It could be like that, like where it just loses all meaning and all love.
I never saw it. I don't really
I
plan on
didn't
seeing
see it either. But still, that's one of those movies like I see the trailer, I already know exactly this is not for me.
I just laughed so hard in the trailer because it went from kind of like young kids partying, what? And like in the mid like cheering, just the train got to crashing.
And they're like, we gotta stop this dancing. People die from dancing.
The cop comes down. I don't want you footloose in this town, not Kevin Bacon.
Well, I think what makes that one worse though is because at first it's like, okay, you go like, okay, at least they're kind of keeping it. Cause it's supposed to be kind of like, old country town and stuff. And then all of a sudden they're doing like hip hop and rap dance, and you're like, okay, we just lost all the country now of that town.
Sad truth to that though, modern day, even though that's not part of the charm.
That
will be there because
it's funny because the thing is people listen to country, listen to rap.
Yeah,
it's like it's the weirdest thing ever. But sometimes I guess it's like that one thing, like when you're...
Let's rephrase it. White people that listen to country also listen to rap.
Yeah, but that's still... That happens a lot, though. Not even just white people, though. Not even just white people. That could also be other races, too. Maybe not black people. It could be everybody else in between.
Well, I remember, because I had, the family reunion one time in Atwater, and there are some cousins that I never really... I don't really know them that well, but I had a few cousins down there. And them and their friends, the things they had on shuffle on their MP3 player was just a bunch of country and rap. And the same shit they were playing in that Footloose trailer. So that's the way it is now.
I know that's it's the in thing. It's to be kind of half hillbilly, half ghetto. I don't know why that is. It's just but it's a weird mix too. It's just so weird. That there's old people just looking going like, that is fucking weird. I seen some weird shit in my day. I was in Nam, and this is fucking weird.
My best friend had a fucking had a necklace made of dicks, and that was less weird than this shit.
Yeah, that's what he did. Every single time he killed somebody, he took their dick off and wrapped it around his neck. We thought it was funny. We got pictures of it, us putting it in their mouths and everything. And this is fucking weird. This rap tree.
No, but what I was gonna say, even country this day and age, this is gonna sound like I'm old man on his porch, but a lot of
mine's on porch with like a shotgun.
Shotgun,
just
yeah.
like Mom said I would after seeing the Titan 80.
You're a man now.
You gotta drive home. You gotta hold the shotgun down. Now you gotta point at the young youth.
Oh, you want to know what those? I want to say this real quick. Those, we always talk about those beer warmer things. What they're called? Cozies.
Cozy? Is
cozies.
That what they're really called?
They're called beer cozies.
Because I just can't.
And
imagine.
apparently they're huge
see,
in the South. They're still a big thing in the South. Here, it's kind of an older person thing, but in the South apparently they're still big.
I just remember. I always think of
Probably Midwest too.
My grandparents and my uncles uncles always had those too because they'd always have their beer or whatever they had in it. Because you never saw an uncle without a beer in his hand. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of how it was. It makes sense because at first you like as a child you just picture you like my uncle just must have a beer in his hand the whole time. And then you kind of realize like well when they come to visit it's like they're on vacation so they're relaxing. It's not like he's walking around all day long with a beer in his hand.
You take it out of his hand's like a G.I. Joe hand. It's just always in that
beer
pose. His hand's just always in this pose of like he's holding a beer cozy. Like if you just put like a normal beer in there, it slides right
out,
through.
You need the cozy.
You need the cozy to hold it both, yeah.
I'm glad we finally figured out what those are called.
But no,
you know those beer things that keep it cold, or if you have a hot drink in there, it keeps it warm.
yeah. Beer cozies is what they're called. Learned it from Chris Hardwick.
Even if you have like if you put them in like, cause my mom she used to have ones she'd put her morning coffee in. She'd put in these Snapple glass jars and she put in one of those things. But since it was so hot, it became like one with the cozy, so it like just formed around it. Yeah, there's a mutation.
Well, going back to the country music just for a second though, most country like I'm not really a huge country music enthusiast, but I do like this is kind of the obvious one. It's like saying your favorite 70s band is Led Zeppelin, but I do like Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and if someone puts on, say, Pandora station of like Willie Nelson or Johnny Cash, the older country stuff, whatever else plays, it's usually, I can listen to that, it's good. Maybe I don't need to go out and buy it right away, maybe I don't really, maybe it's not my favorite thing, but I enjoy it, and a lot of this more modern country though, it's all like, hey girl, gonna chew tobacco. There's literally a song.
Yeah.
I was at fucking karaoke with Cisco one time. There's literally a song like, all the boys round here and the pickups drinking beer. There's literally lines like, I'm a redneck. And there's another chorus in the line. There's a fucking chorus. Somebody wrote this fucking down and put it in a song and made a lot of fucking money. Chew tobacco, spit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened is like,
so, there's that.
Like country kind of got to this point where it's almost become like
redneck pop.
It's a redneck pop, and it's almost become like such a huge like joke, but like nobody's told the country people that it's the joke.
You actually talk to like one of the like Toby Keith. He's actually very well educated. Like yes, they don't realize this is all persona, if you'd will.
Like magicians.
And here they come. Oh hey guys, how's it going?
Well, a lot of those country guys actually are fakes. Like they're not real country people.
I get a lot of them.
Or it's kind of like Larry the Cable Guy. That guy apparently it's like an act. I think he's still country, but it's not like he's Larry the Cable Guy 24/7. He's not like your uncle carrying that beer around 24/7. That beer is just like when he comes over.
Well, now he's doing like Pepto-Bismol commercials and all that. I think the last
there's like one commercial he's driving, and he's just like
he's going like he's doing
it just like there's a perfectly nice field of grass, and he's just like.
Like I think he's like writing like how much it costs or the percentage or something like that.
Just like destroying, it's just like that. Does not help sell it to anybody who likes the environment one bit.
Speaking of that, though, we should probably lead into like we're talking all this like being environment things. I just want to say this. We're going to talk about the actual movie, but I want to mention this. All right, we saw Lone Survivor a few days ago, and going to that movie, it was packed because this is a fairly conservative county, and it's one of those movies. If you give
it's fine. It's fairly conservative, but it's really like half because this is the area where people like. There's a lot of like rednecks, like good old boys that were growing up here being loggers and all that kind of stuff. But there's that other half that's like the old hippie people.
I think the old hippie people is a little less. I think that's almost more. Maybe it's like
really. I see the old hippie people quite a bit.
I see them more like
I mean, I'm not saying that it's like exactly 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's not. There's that good like margin.
I see it almost like 3/4 like redneck, and then that one last one just like old hippie people.
Because I see a lot of those old hippie people quite often.
Well, whatever it is, though, this theater was just packed, and we kind of going in like it's probably gonna be packed with a lot of. Yep, it is, because people who usually don't go to the movie theaters, if it's like like somebody who served, or they have a kid that served or something, more than likely they're gonna go see a movie like this.
Yeah,
especially if it's based on a true story, and I right before the movie starts, I lean in and I'm like. $5 says everybody's gonna get up and clap once this movie's over.
And I was like, oh, goddamn right they are.
And that's not me being cynical towards.
They clapped at Battlefield LA.
They clapped at Battlefield LA. There you go.
That was the movie. I just remember like
that movie's fucking stupid.
I was like, that was a fucking horrible movie. Like, why are you clapping? Stop clapping, you.
And that's not me like rolling my eyes at patriotism.
I'm not saying anything against if there's some movies I know that you just like them because you like them, but. I don't think that was a clap-worthy movie, Battlefield LA.
No, and I'll say this though. First off, I'll even hide the suspense. I liked Lone Survivor. I thought it was a good movie.
No, yeah, it was a really good
movie.
But
I'm kind of one of those people. I'm not trying to be a cynic or be a prick or I'm kind of sinning to other people. But it's really kind of like
we're not the theater.
If we're like, all right, if we're at a film festival and someone who worked on the movie might be there, or if you're at a premiere or something and you know the people are there, then I'll clap. But I just know no one's really there. Or,
well, it's like, what's it, the projectionist get up and take a bow and go like, thank you.
Exactly.
I did my job.
Or if it's like a test screening of some sort. I get that. I understand if it's a test.
Or if
screening.
you're at like a theater play.
Yeah.
That makes sense because there's people there that are going to be like, oh yes, there we go. But like, it just seems so weird to clap at this. I mean, then again, these are the same people that probably clap at their own TV set, but
yeah, and that right there though.
It just seems
all
weird
that being
too.
said, so these people very.
Yeah, but they probably clap their microwave too when it finishes cooking. Like, oh man.
Hungry Man dinners, let's go! Come on, Salisbury steak and deep fried potatoes.
Oh, favorite.
No, but so that being said, okay, I saw it coming. They clapped at the end of the movie. Fine, whatever. You and me kind of sit through the whole way through the trailers, through the whole way through the credits, like we usually do. We got up as soon as we turned around.
We did this 360 view,
and the fucking ground is coated in trash. And popcorn
and soda,
and it's like, did we just get done seeing fucking planes or Cloudy the Meatballs 2 or some bullshit?
Well, I mean, because we were literally the only people in that theater. There's probably a couple other people. I actually know that for a fact there was, but generally there probably was less than 10 people in that theater under 50.
It just blows my mind. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things, like, because outright, you get. I mean, this is kind of almost like two different problems. I'm kind of throwing into one thing here, but it's almost like
it's a big problem, though.
People got this sense of like patriotism, like, yes, America all the way. I love America. I want America all over my face, neck, and chest.
Bill, do you want to keep this popcorn? No, fucking throw that on the ground.
Yeah, and like, should we take it? We could either A, take it with us, B, throw it in the trash on our way out,
C, give it to that hobo outside that could use it,
or D, just chuck it on the fucking ground.
You know what my fucking answer is, honey? We've been married for 60 years. You chuck it on the fucking ground and step on it.
We watch them sweep it up and we laugh and we point. Say minimum wage.
Well, it's one of those what bothers me the most is just one of those ones. It's like, okay, they clap at the movie for the patriotism. It's like, okay, that's fine.
Whatever.
You throw this down and you go like, who the fuck pays for those guys to do their missions? People that work these jobs that pay taxes. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what I think of when I see that. Just like, okay, you obviously support like where your money finally goes to, but you don't support where it comes from.
Exactly. It just,
I
was
stand
pissed
that.
off. I was just pissed off. I don't fucking believe this.
You know.
So, and plus to mention, we were surrounded by like people that were talking.
If there was 50 children in there, it would not be nearly as messy.
We went to go see fucking The Hobbit. There was like 12 kids sitting in front of us. They just squatted right down in front of us. And I know.
They didn't even sit in chairs. They just squatted.
They were polite. They just sat on the ground. No.
They didn't even sit on the ground. They just squatted and looked left. They must have some fucking real strong like quads.
It's a 3-hour movie. No, but when they sat in that movie, I was like, fuck, here we go. All those kids, not a peep. They were all quiet the whole movie, and I saw them. They took and carried their trash out.
Unlike that fucking 60-year-old man who chucked everything. I just can see the guy picking up the popcorn thing, just spinning it around in a circle over his head, just popcorn going
and, like,
everywhere.
Celebration once, like every time like a terrorist or someone got shot in the movie, just spins it around in celebration. But, as soon as they run out, go get more of them are gonna die. I need more to celebrate.
We got the big one. We get the refill, right?
So
get the refill just so we can pour it more on the ground.
So that, and then like there were certain people you could tell they'd never been there because like Laura said there was an old lady sitting next to her and her husband was like sitting next to her. He was explaining shit to her throughout the movie, like
audio fucking commentary.
Yeah, like that's what we used back in like Desert Storm right there. We had something similar, a little low tech, and just kind of going on and on throughout the whole movie. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude, shut the fuck up. And there's like people sitting like 2 seats down from us. First, when we get in there, just a couple. I mean, I'm not saying this to be mean. It was a textbook. Kind of like, it was almost like a meme. It was like 3 like people, like Duck Dynasty looking motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. Fucking huge, fucking camouflage. One of them had overalls. This old lady was kind of like, oh, those people over there took our seats. I saw she was looking at us.
See, I heard that slightly out the corner of my ear, and I didn't think much of it. And then once you told me that later, I was like, I would have fucking went like, no, in my seat, you fuckheads. We come here every week.
And
fuck you.
It was one of the. She wasn't almost doing it like, oh, they took our seats, haha, whatever. You guys.
It was more threatening.
It was like, bah! For some reason, old fat Republican lady just sounds like a fucking parrot to me. Bah!
Well, the problem with the only devil when you go see movies like this is you get all the people out of the woodworks that don't watch movies all year long, and then all of a sudden decide to show up, and they have no public etiquette for going to the movie theaters.
Going back to Battlefield LA, if you like Battlefield LA, that's totally fine. I don't really care. People can like what they like, whatever. I mean, I like the first 2 Transformer movies. I know those movies aren't perfect, but I like them. Mm-hmm. But when people were like that, I heard as we were leaving the Battlefield LA, I heard someone say that was a beautiful demonstration of brotherhood in the Marines. I was like, I can't fucking say shit.
When was the last time your son was fighting a fucking alien in the Marines?
I'm just gonna say that right there. That movie almost felt kind of like, join the Marines, kids. You're gonna kill fucking aliens. That's how the movie kind of felt.
Really, yeah. Well, perfect example,
felt kind of Call of Duty.
If there was a point where I could almost clap, but I wouldn't, it was it was like the Wolf of Wall Street. I will say that. That was it. That was more like, I would if I had money in my wallet, I would take and just chuck it at the screen. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd pick it back up because I don't want it to.
It's more of the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
If Martin Scorsese was in the room, you just go
I would chuck money at him.
Yeah.
Not like
do it again.
Do it again. Take my fucking money.
Yeah. That's what I would have done. I was just like,
just take my wallet. Amount of money. Just chuck your wallet at him. Take my shoes.
Look at my wallet, it's the Bullet Bill wallet. Cool.
You know, one of these.
Your Bullet Bill. You know what Bullet Bill is? Yeah, I'm Martin Scorsese. Fuck you.
I am Bullet Bill. I played him in Mario Brothers. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I know.
That's my cameo. You don't kind of I have a cameo in other movies.
Oh no shit.
Oh
okay.
Fuck, that's
turns
cool.
into a bullet, just flies out the building,
just right through the side of the wall.
Scorsese out. No. Anyway, should actually probably talk about the actual movie now. Jacob Sampson actually wrote in a week or 2 ago saying that Michael Murphy was it's like a friend,
his dad's friend's son.
Yeah, and knowing them because I was actually because I saw a thing on TV about this, and so I kind of knew how it was going to end. But for whatever reason, Michael Murphy, that name stood out to me. So I was actually because they advertised the whole movie as Mark Walberg is the main character, but up until
really Michael Murphy's the main character up till about the middle of the movie.
Yeah, because and that was what's I know the actor's name, Taylor Kitsch.
Is that the guy? He's in
he played Gambit in X-Men Origins.
Gambit, and he's also in Princess of Mars. John Carter.
He was in Savages. He was the guy who was not Kick-Ass in Savages.
Oh yeah, I know the guy who's not Kick-Ass.
Well, the Kick-Ass played the hippie guy who didn't do all the fighting or anything. Yeah. Which
I will say, in all those movies, whether or not people like some of those movies, though, he did a good job in all those movies.
Mm-hmm. He did. And are we talking Taylor Kitsch or Kick-Ass?
Not Kick-Ass.
Well, Kick-Ass did a good job.
He did a good job in that too, but I'm talking about Taylor Kitsch. Yeah.
Which I think he did fine. He was in Battleship, so people were saying one movie after another, this guy's doing really bad, and he needs
I think it's not like his roles have been necessarily bad. He's just been kind of caught in movies that haven't made a ton of money.
Whether you like those movies or not, I don't think he was really so bad at it. But and then this movie he actually I hope this one brings him out because this was a good movie, and I thought that he did a pretty good job in it.
Well, I feel just by taking a look at the theater, it's this movie's definitely going to make its money by far.
And he was pretty well. We say that, but I'm going to say this: Lone Ranger was probably the Lone Ranger did pretty horrible, but it did good in towns like ours. So
yeah, but Lone Ranger is a Western, though.
It is a Western, but this one...
Because we've realized that Westerns aren't nearly as popular outside of places that aren't Western town 24/7 almost.
Yeah, I know that. But I'm thinking this movie, I mean...
See, this is one of kind of movies, I can't imagine, even in cities and stuff, it's probably going to be still pretty popular, because military exists everywhere.
Yeah, they do. I can still see this movie...
It's not like a city's no, you get out of here, you military-waving people. We took over this city, we're the warriors. I
could see it being in a much more, liberal town, I don't know, a big liberal town. Maybe, some, San Francisco, maybe. I'm not sure if...
Well, San Francisco's not that liberal of a town, though.
I mean, it's...
I know, I think it's once... It has that image... But when you really go there, you realize it's it's business like nobody's business.
It seems to me, I know that there is a lot of business stuff there, but
San Francisco, business like nobody's business.
San Francisco to me, I mean, I know you.
I think because
live there.
you see like the only areas I'd say are probably liberal is you see like the gay section, but that's really only like 1/8 of San Francisco. And then you sort of see Haight-Ashbury, and that's more like a mock thing nowadays. But you could probably say that is too. But just including that, that's it. You know, maybe some people on like Ocean Beach, maybe because that's just kind of out there. But you know, I would still say at least 75% of it's not liberal.
Yeah, okay.
Just like California. It's like California's mostly not that liberal. It's just there's a handful of things that stand out that make it feel more liberal than it really is.
Okay, I'll just take your word on that part.
It's like Los Angeles, too. That's really Republican, too.
All right, I'll just take your word on that then. But as far as the movie goes, though, what was I saying? I thought the movie was actually pretty good. It actually, and like Emile Hirsch.
I liked it a lot.
Going back to Nick Forster, he was in there, so.
Well, you know what was really like the most amazing? Like, I think this is the thing that, like, you know, years from now that will be remembered more than anything else will be the falling off the cliff stunts in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that's going to be its, like, pinnacle moment in this whole movie. It's just people are going to be like, those stunts right there are fucking amazing. You know, just watch. It's just like they get to the point. Well, I guess we could play this story as. First, they're going into Afghanistan. And they're going to do this mission to get this one Taliban leader. I don't remember what the guy's name is. But they're going to get this one guy.
I think Shaw.
We'll just call him Shaw. If it is or if it is not.
Yeah.
And well, as they're up there doing recon, they're just kind of watching over like the camp. These goat farmers these goat herders come up and pretty much blow their cover. So they got these guys and they're like, fuck, what are we going to do? We're going to kill these guys? Well, we can't just fucking kill them. I mean, they're just goat herders, you know? They'll look bad. And then they say like, fuck it, we're going to let them go, but we're going to fucking book it back. So as they go back, next thing you know, which they really make that one kid just look like evil, horrible as fuck. Like, you want to hate that goat herder. Fuck that goat herder.
Which, I mean, in the context of the movie, I get it. I mean, in real life, I was kind of trying to keep my mind.
He's just got his face, he's like running in slow motion. Like,
whenever he looks like Nick Forster, he's like, you know, like fucking him with his eyes, but he fucking him with his eyes generally. Just like, just say like a scrunch face the whole time.
He's just always in scrunch face mode.
Yeah. So, I mean, in real life, I mean, who knows if that was like in real life. I was trying to keep in context of the movie. Like, those guys just wandered in real quick, so. But, yeah, he wanders back and warns the Taliban in this village.
And at first they're like, you got that fuck, he's got a cell phone. Like, fuck that guy on a satellite phone. What are you doing for satellite phones? Like, well, you know, don't you guys all have phones when you go out places too? It's like, God. I know you think you're in the Middle East, you think everybody's like backwoods here, but
Well, they were right, because they did come back after him.
Well, yeah, but they're probably just, like, they have no idea what's going on.
I like what he said, like what Nick Forster said, though. He's like, what the fuck's he gonna do with this? Call Domino's Pizza? You know, just the line right there. But, then he goes back, then they're trying to run away. Eventually,
they're backtracking, and then the Taliban starts coming after them.
The whole Taliban army comes after them, corner them. They kill a lot of Taliban. They have this big,
they kill about a good 50 plus of them.
They have this big, long, like, action scene that draws up in the middle. It's a pretty cool action scene. It's almost kind of like, even though it was a cool action scene, it was almost kind of hard for me to fully enjoy it just because I knew that people were going to fucking die, but I was almost kind of waiting for the moments I remembered from seeing the thing on TV.
The documentary or whatever.
Yeah, and I was just kind of waiting for that, here, it's coming right here. Oh, yep, he's gone now.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, there was a point though when I was watching the movie at first, it was like, okay, there's going to be action in this movie, right? There's not going to be one of those kind of war movies where there's just like very small bits of action and then it's kind of over.
Yeah.
Like they're almost playing it out a little bit more realistic because there was about 40 minutes, or maybe not that long, but at least a good half an hour plus
of action.
Well, before there was even anything action, really.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just kind of have, like, the very emotional kind of, like, where they go through and they're at the base and they're showing kind of, like, footage of, like, training and then they're showing kind of, like, just pictures and things. Like, they're really trying to tug at your heartstrings and stuff.
The movie did make me feel like a pussy, I'll say that.
And then finally, once the action started up, it was like, oh, okay, good. Finally we're at, like, the action.
Mm-hmm. The movie did make me feel like a pussy, because the part where they're like, we're literally just going to roll down this cliff.
Well, I guess this is where we're getting it back to the stunt thing. It's pretty much the Taliban pushes them towards the edge of the cliff, and they all look at each other, and they go, where are we going to go? But, well, the only way to go is back, and they just kind of look over and just like, oh, there's like a nice drop off, and they just go, okay, we're just going to fucking Super Mario this shit, and they just jump off. And it just starts, it is rolling, painful. And they actually have like they use the 300 like kind of like shooting like in a great way because they'll go and they'll like go really fast and then they'll hit and it'll go in slow motion as they're in midair,
Like,
and then it'll go really fast. It'll go back to regular speed right when they like come up to like the next like sharp object or rock or tree.
And a lot of times they have this look of anguish and excruciating pain on their face when they stop into the 300 thing when it slows down for a second, picks back up, and
just starts. That part is really that is like. If anything, that will be remembered. That scene right there, and there's two of them in the movie too.
Yeah,
it's almost kind of like an Indiana Jones thing, but it's not like where it's kind of like, because you know in Indiana Jones movies it happens in Temple of Doom and it happens in the Crystal Skull, where like in Temple of Doom they go off one waterfall, and you're like, oh well that was a big waterfall, and then they go off again, and you're kind of like, well, and they go off a third, and you're like, okay, that's fucking enough.
Yeah.
This one it's fine. It's like two, okay, end it there. It seems more realistic. If there's like a third one, it's like, oh, here's the next cliff's like 3 times as big. It's like, okay, no, this seems like a movie thing now.
Yeah.
But no, that scene was just just tumbling and hitting just rocks and trees and branches and all kinds of stuff.
Which it almost kind of like, even though going in this, it's in the fucking title, only one of them's going to make it out alive. You know, it's Mark Walberg. But...
Because his name's the fucking main title.
Yeah. But even going into that, you still get this kind of hope, like, well, they're on the cliff. Will they get reception? Will they get reception? You still get that tiny bit of hope, but you know, ultimately, it's kind of like when I still watch Departed, and part of me almost thinks like, is Leo DiCaprio going to make it out? Is he going to make it out? Oh, he doesn't. You know.
Well, the one thing I also think made cool is this movie. This movie literally looked like it could have been shot like right outside our house right here. Because I mean, it's the same type of terrain, pine trees, rattlesnakes, poison oak. It looks identical. They probably shot it somewhere similar to here. And that's what it's like. I'm like, well, fuck, I could fall down a cliff like that too. I don't know about having Taliban after me though.
Yeah. Well, another thing was I kind of liked when they actually, because eventually when they all die off except Mark Walberg, they reach the he's found by just a villager, just some villager out there. They take him in. People are arguing, like, what the fuck are they gonna do to this guy? There's not subtitles.
You found Mark Walberg? No.
We found Marky Mark. Sing
oh my
it.
God!
Sing it.
Make him sing. Make him pull his pants down and sing.
No.
It's not every day that Mark Walberg just happens to be in your camp.
You're like, Marky Mark.
So he's like, I was in a bunch of movies after that. You're in movies? No, just Funky Bunch. You've been in Funky Bunch for 20 years, right?
They just play like a cassette player, just starts playing Good Vibrations, just starts dancing to it. He's just like, fuck, I got some shrapnel stuck in my leg.
Please take it. Please give me a knife. Yeah. Don't give me the goose.
That was kind of. I like to see there was actually a little. I mean, even though this movie's serious, and I don't blame it for being super serious, I was glad to see they added just a little bit of kind of like comedy that kind of fit the situation.
You put just a tad bit of humor in there. It just breaks that seriousness, because there's not like. I've never seen a movie that was just straight serious the whole time that I actually thought was a really good movie. And I'm talking about, there's those movies where like you sit there and your face is like in just normal position the whole time. You never frown, you never smile, nothing changes. You walk out of the theater, you sort of feel depressed.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen a single one. Actually, I've never seen one of those movies in theaters. Actually, to tell you the truth, I've always seen them on TV or something.
Yeah.
But those kind of movies like that, where like it's just it's serious the whole way, horrible style of movie making.
Yeah. Well, unless it was going back to American for a second, unless American was, I don't think there was very much comedy in the American, but it just things to us that were hella funny.
Well, that doesn't matter though. That's still comedy.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to this for a second though, I thought it was kind of cool that they actually acknowledged that, like, 'cause for a while they're kind of like, the movie almost feels like, I mean, it's based on a true story and trying to salvage what's real, what's Hollywood, but you're kind of going like, is this gonna be one of those movies that killed everybody who's not brown, you know?
Well, at first I kind of had that feeling, and that I kind of had my arms crossed in there, like I'm like, it better not be one of these kind of movies, because sometimes it's like one of those ones that's like. I get that same thing. It's like, okay, Taliban's bad, yes, but a lot of these guys, they just work there because they're forced to work there. It's not necessarily their fault that they're Taliban. It's just like the Nazis. I kind of always like hated when they started blaming just individuals. So it's like, okay, well that guy, if you lived in Germany at that time, you fucking took that job, or you got thrown in prison.
Or they killed your family.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You kind of go with it. And then even like those goat herders. At first I'm like, don't kill those goat herders. I mean. I always picture it this way. It's like, that's like us walking up in the woods with our dogs, and all of a sudden, like, a bunch of Taliban guys come up and like, well, what are we supposed to fucking do with these guys? I don't know, man. These Americans are out walking their dogs. Do we kill them? I don't know. Maybe we just tie them up and just leave them for the bears.
Yeah, something similar to that. And this movie, I think that it kind of like, because I thought I was going to do that
I got to bring it home. That changes everything.
Well, I'll say this. Naturally,
why does he have a cell phone? What's he doing?
Why do you have this iPhone? Why do you have this iPhone? No, but bring it back around.
Maybe it's called Taliban Pizza.
Taliban pizza. Oh, but anyway, to bring it back around here for a minute, because for a while it seemed like it was just kind of doing that, and the movie doesn't really so much focus on like, well, these guys are forced to. They don't really present the opposite side. But in the heat of the battle, it's kind of like it's you or me. And
once the battle's happening, you kind of go with that.
You go with that, and you understand why they take them as bad. Because really, I mean, maybe the individual people are forced to be in that, but ultimately the Taliban is a bad thing. Ultimately, it is a bad thing. So I don't blame them for making them the bad guys by any means. But I was glad to see they weren't making it a racial thing, because they actually show it's based on a true story. But they bring it. Then that's when they actually bring in the part where like he's brought in by the villagers and they help him out, and not just the fact they help him out, but the part he has the end right as he's leaving. This part actually kind of got me a little teary-eyed, but. When Mark Walberg's kind of like bloody and shot up, kind of limping, is the Americans?
Well, I guess you could lead into this. First, what happens is he gets brought into this village, and then next thing you know, the Taliban finally catch up, and they're like, "We know you fucking got Marky Mark in here. Don't fucking lie to us." You know what? And they tell him to leave.
We heard good vibrations over the hill. We fucking know it.
Or they find actually Marky Mark, they pull him out, and they take him. They're like, "We're gonna chop off his fucking head just to make a point."
And it's always kind of weird. It happens in Vietnam movies. It happens in this. But it's whenever, like, you always see him speak in another language. But the second they start saying, "Cut your head off, motherfucker! Cut your fucking head off!" That makes sense in the context, saying something he's not going to understand.
Yeah.
But that's always the part where it just always feels really weird for a second,
Whoa, he just learned
He does speak English, He knows only that one sign, but yeah.
So he does that, and then the good Afghanistan guys come out and go like, no, we fucking keep him.
Mm-hmm. They go with guns and on them, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, whatever, fuck you. We'll be back. Fucking assholes.
I like the main villager that's focusing on. I like he actually says to Mark Walberg, he says like, "Fuck Taliban."
Fuck Taliban.
I like that. And then I just thought that was funny just because they don't speak a word of English throughout this whole thing, really. Mm-hmm. Except that part. So then... And then the Taliban eventually comes back. By this point, they send a messenger to the American base to bring reinforcements to come get Mark Wahlberg.
And it's sort of it sounds weird, but like in an American way, it's kind of like a little joke too, because you see the guy's like, he's like, you can send a message, right? You got a fax or something? Yeah, we got this. He's just nodding his head or whatever. And then it shows, and the guy's out there with a walking stick, crossing the mountains.
I think that part.
His name's Fax.
Faxademajad.
It's Faxademajad.
No, but anyway, I just
realized
another
big part we really forgot too is like the part where like
chopper gets blown.
Yeah, that's the thing. That is like when the Chinook helicopter comes by. Well, they finally get a radio signal or whatnot, and it's scratchy, but they get it out. And this is when they're still rolling down the mountains, or before they've even rolled down. Mm-hmm. And these two helicopters come up, and they're supposed to have Apache helicopters to guard them. Uh-huh. And for some reason, the Apache helicopters had to go somewhere else. I don't know what it is, but they didn't really explain. Just like, well, we have to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So like, I'll go without them. So, and then that's when 20 or 30 other like soldiers died because they got taken out by an RPG.
Yeah, and this Chinook helicopter the missile went right inside, blew it up, crashed down, and the other one flew back.
Yeah. So, and then like we didn't even go like when they make when the previous three like Emil Hirsch, Nick Forster, and Taylor Kitsch all died. They actually do a pretty good job making it really sad. They actually, and you really kind of
like they really make the sacrifice. You could really see them like helping each other,
and you really feel for them. And it's not because a lot of times you see in a movie, oh, that guy looks a little bloody. This movie, they actually make it. They're
just nicked and cut up and bones out, and
it's not really just kind of like, oh, just a bloody shirt or a faint little cut. It's all the little small little nicks and the fact his eye is so swollen shut and just other things about it. Emil Hirsch, and they even make you feel even more bad for him because he's a drawer. They get across. He likes to draw. He gets his finger shot off on his drawing hand.
Yeah, that's like the first part too. I think it's the first guy to get hit.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. They all gave a great performance. I think they all did a great job in the movie, and it just really makes you feel for those guys that much more. So, and by the time the U.S. comes and picks him up, there is this moment. They fight off the Taliban. They scare him off. And they come pick up Mark Wahlberg, and as they're carrying him out,
they scare him. It just sounds funny. It's just like they brought us a big ghost and scared him away. The helicopter flies by with this big ghost,
like just a balloon ghost just coming down
from like the Macy's Day Parade or something.
It's just like a leftover like Ghostbusters like float or something. Marshmallow Stay Puft Man.
Why is there a Pikachu one? Well, it was a hat. It was on sale.
We just spray painted it white. No, but
the Taliban are really afraid of Pikachu.
No, but anyway, once they're gone, then like Mark Walberg's being carried out by the U.S. troops, and then he stops. He's like, wait. He's like very serious. He can barely watch. He's serious. And he's all kind of teary-eyed. He goes up to like the guy and his kid. He's like, thank you. He has no words really can say, but he's like, just felt a ball, and he's just hugging the guy and his kid. And that part right there, it was just kind of like one of those. I'm just glad they actually kind of showed, because for a while, sometimes movies that seem too,
one-sided.
Yeah. And the fact that you gotta make. I understand making Taliban look bad. It's obvious. No,
yeah, well, that makes sense, but
acknowledging that
that's not all Afghanistan, the Middle East. That's
exactly.
The one problem that I always kind of signs have. Mm-hmm. Well, I like that. There's that part too where he's taking away. He's like, no, he comes with me. He's like, he can't.
They're like, we'll stay here. We'll protect him. We'll watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then they're in during the right before the credits, they're showing the actual pictures of all of the.
Everybody who died.
With an acoustic version of someone covering David Bowie's Heroes.
Yeah.
And then they show a picture of the guy that Mark Walberg played as hugging the actual guy that the Afghani guy that brought him in and took care of him.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, those pictures kind of weird though, because one of the guys was like Asian.
I think that maybe it was supposed to be the Eric Bana character.
Oh, okay, because I saw it, I was like, because that's always really weird. Like sometimes when you see the real picture, people are like, "Boy, that's just like the exact opposite of what the actor looks like." I mean, maybe he plays the same thing, but like,
I'm assuming that was. I'll be honest. I don't really remember most of the names. I remember. In the movie, I did.
I don't remember. I just remember seeing the pictures at the end. I just remember seeing an Asian guy there, and I was just like, "Wait a second." And it was I think it was one of the main four.
Was he one of the main? Because I remember
he could have been one of the guys in the helicopter, but they showed him a lot more than like.
Because they showed the troop. They showed a big main troop.
And they showed all the helicopter guys first, and then they started showing the four main characters. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was an Asian guy. I remember. I want to say that may have been the Eric Bana character. Maybe I'm wrong.
Is Eric Bana the guy with the beard?
Eric Bana was the guy in charge with the beard, and he was the guy.
No, I don't think there was the other guy that had the beard in like the real pictures, and I think that's who it was. He had a
bunch of them had beards in the picture.
Well, I mean like the big beard though.
Oh, okay.
Because the other guys just have scruff.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Well. Either way, it was a good movie, and I thought.
Wait, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think that. Like,
oh, I know.
Yeah, I just saying. I saw an Asian. It was I was like, wait, was there an Asian guy in there? I was like, for some reason, like that either slipped by or I don't remember that.
Maybe just because he had he was wearing the sunglasses, so it could have been another thing too.
Yeah. Well, he had sunglasses on only one picture.
Yeah. I don't really remember. Maybe it was one of the guys in the helicopter. Now we're getting to it.
Except it was towards the end. That's the only reason I'm saying that. That's.
Oh, okay.
I just noticed it right away. I was just like, wait, was that? But sometimes it's kind of like even in painting game. Like when you see the picture of them, it's like, oh, they look like almost.
They look, yeah.
Well, because it's weird, because like the Mark Walberg character in that, it's like, okay, Mark Wahlberg's like Irish, and the guy was like, I think like Cuban or something. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what The Rock. I only seen that movie since the theater.
The Rock, that makes sense though, because you can't really get like The Rock can't really play
a weird
anybody.
Combination.
Yeah.
He's like Samoan. He's part black. He's also part white.
No, he's just half black, half Hawaiian.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
That's why. It's just really not that complicated.
Vin Diesel's the one who's like.
He's the one. He's like a third Mexican, a third white, and a third Italian.
Oh, okay.
So it's like. Yeah, so that tells that he's the one who's got a little bit more confusing going on.
Alrighty.
But The Rock's he's just half and half. But for some reason, I guess has there never ever been like a relationship like that before?
I guess not.
That's why it throws people off so much.
I guess so.
I know, but yeah, overall that was a really good movie. Mm-hmm. I liked it a lot. Good. It was a really good war film. I don't know, all around good.
Yeah, it kind of really makes you kind of feel kind of bad the second you turn around and just see like.
Well, that kind of thing though. It's funny how like people. They don't realize that everything kind of works in a full circle, so they really just support one.
Bring it back to Lion King.
Yeah, everything's Lion King. That circle of life is everything in life. No matter where you go, it's a circle of life. Mm-hmm. That's why Lion King is like I think the highest up there Disney movie. Well, it doesn't have to be your personal favorite, but it's like Star Wars, best movie of all time. It doesn't have to be your personal favorite, but we can all agree that that's a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, I think we all can.
But yeah, I know that. And it's not, and it's like
pissed off when I think
they're adults. They're not fucking children, and the children are more respectable.
Yeah,
there wasn't a single child in there. We were really like probably the youngest people in there.
We usually are the youngest people. If it's not a kid's
I noticed that we choose lots of times these movies that like young people probably like. If you
Counselor.
If you took a poll at a high school and like some of these movies, you know for a fact that almost like none of these kids would see a lot of these movies that we see.
Like Counselor, yeah.
Yeah, like The Counselor or The Wolf of Wall Street. Even I talked to there's a guy He's Kevin's foreign exchange student now. His name's Jordan. And he came in the gym. He likes movies a lot. And he's from Slovakia or whatever. And he saw The Wolf of Wall Street and he thought that was amazing. I was like, that's good.
That's good.
Because sometimes you get these guys, I'm like, when you get a movie that has a lot of lingo in it and a lot of talking, you know, like that's kind of hard. It's kind of like, you
especially for someone who, I'm guessing,
who knows English, like, is
their
kind of
second
like second or third or fourth language.
Yeah.
You know, but he liked that a lot, so that was a good thing.
That wasn't the German kid that was dressed like he's on BT. Like
he was the kid beforehand.
Okay.
I think he.
It was the weirdest mix.
I don't know if he saw one of those movies and he liked it. I think it might have been. I don't know if it was Wolf of Wall Street though, because he was up during Christmas break.
Well, I remember there was one German kid I met, he was like really German, but yet he was dressed like he was like on MTV or something like that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm not too sure if they like do that thing like, when I'm coming to America, I
gotta blend in.
Yeah. I always think that's. I'm like, would we do the same thing? No, we're American.
He had the ass hanging out, saggy jeans,
backwards
ass hanging out, backward. Well, the crooked flat, crooked flat bill, way too baggy of a hoodie with bright, vibrant colors. Like, what the fuck? Blending in.
Yeah. But I was saying, like, if we were Americans,
I love America.
Would we do the same thing if we went there? And it was like, no, wait a second, we're Americans. We just kind of dress the same way. We're not very good at blending in. And if we tried, then we just look like those weird old hippie people.
We go there as like fucking...
they're Asian.
You go there as like mountain yodelers or something like that. You have a big horn like slinging over your shoulder. Like socks up to your knees and like the fucking green shorts and overalls.
And those like hats.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just the way it goes sometimes.
But yeah. Well, another thing I want to say is, for our podcast-wise, I actually meant to say at the beginning, but I totally spaced out. I want to say thanks to our listeners. We got to number 12 on the comedy list on Podomatic.
Thank you so much.
You know, and it fluctuated all week long. At first it was 16, and that was the high point. I was like, oh, fucking 16! Fucking yeah! And then it was like, it went to 22 and 18 and all that stuff. I'm like, well, it's still fucking cool! And then all of a sudden it was at 12, and I was like, that's the fucking high point. Now, it just gets in the top 10. That'd be awesome.
That voice you just said, I'm not sure where we're at on time, but that voice you just said just reminded me. A little while ago, we actually were at, we were in Modesto. We were in Modesto, like, let's stop at Funworks to do the go-karts real quick. It's been a while since any of us have done that since we were kids. Yeah. So we went there, and there's this guy riding with this kid, and we didn't notice the go-karts all had, actually, they were, painted like NASCARs.
Yeah, there's Fritos and Mountain Dew and Coke and
there's this
Napa Auto Parts.
There's this fucking fat guy, Harley Davidson shirt, sunglasses, kind of scruff. Not like
goatee.
Not like biker, more of kind of like, I bike on the weekends with my buddies from Wall Street. Kind of like, more like that kind of thing. Yeah,
but maybe not even that. More like, I actually work just a regular job. I dream of biking more.
Possibly that, yeah. Possibly that, Older guy, and this motherfucker was almost just intentionally ramming.
He ran into me 3 times.
Intentionally just slamming and ramming, just laughing. And it's just kind of one of those things nothing I'm going to lose sleep over, but the fact it's a guy that looks like that in a Mountain Dew car.
The Mountain Dew guy tops it all off.
I remember I drove past you, and I'm not sure if you heard me yell ram that fucker! Because he got me too. So me and Kyle were we're going after this motherfucker.
There was a 14-year-old kid ran into me, and he came by. He apologized, not the fucking guy in the Mountain Dew truck. That's
drove by, just waving sorry.
Yeah, I think he just accidentally,
mouthed it or whatever.
Yeah, he put his hand up, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
because he just accidentally rear-ended me, at the start.
Well,
you think about it too, because after you've driven a real car for a long time. I noticed that, I always turn, and, I turn my head, look over, okay, I can make a turn in here, where I think that kids don't fucking do that. I think they go oh, I'm gonna turn.
Yeah, that is the case, and just, you doing the voice, I just thought that guy, because I literally heard the guy go, as he, rammed in, rear-ended me.
He was running into kids and all kinds of stuff. It's weird how that is, though, but I've noticed that a lot in life. Lots of times, it's those middle-aged guys that are always the biggest heathens at children's events.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one time at a pool once where there was this camp counselor guy who was 45 or something like that, or 35, somewhere in that ballpark range. And apparently he just he used to be an alcoholic or something like that. And now he's
of course,
he's a children's camp counselor.
Funnest thing he has.
And now when I noticed that but the way he gets it off though now is he fucking takes noodles and beats children with them.
You're gonna have to reiterate.
Pool noodles, those things you
Oh, really? Just standing over kids? Fucking take it, you little prick.
Yeah, just fucking whacking the shit out of these kids. I mean, And it's not like, like kids like, like slapping them together like they're slapping their dicks together. Like, this guy's fucking taking it like it's a
kids
baseball
laugh
bat.
as they slap their dicks. Like that.
Sword fights! No, this guy was taking it like he was swinging a baseball bat at children.
Just a lot of like bit up aggression from like the
Not being able to drink
from the
do
80s
drugs.
or something.
Well, this guy's probably this guy's a little bit young. He's probably from like the 90s.
Okay. Just like wishing he was back.
He was
like,
wishing he was like pounding tequila and listening to Soundgarden.
Probably
and
wishing.
punching people at bars.
Probably wishing he was like back at like some Mother Loves Bone reunion concert or something like that.
But since now he has to be a camp counselor, he's just taking down these children. And I feel like that's like that guy at the fucking go-karts. It's just like, he's just like, I hate my life, so I get total pleasure out of like running into children.
Like even I was even trying to avoid it. If it happened, okay, whatever, it happened.
That's like when I drove the go-kart, like, that go-kart would be so much fun, really, if there was nobody else on there. Because it'd be great driving, like, but like...
Like Marge Simpson, like that one episode of Simpsons when they're driving, like, they're all ramming and going into Marge's like, slow and steady, wins the race. She's all looking over her shoulder very carefully.
That's sort of how I feel. It's just like, I don't want to get any conflicts here. And then I always feel like, now you're always kind of like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be the guy that gets kicked off the go-kart.
It's my thing is, in all honesty, I mean, if it's all fun and games, it's not my go-kart, so I don't do it. But if I would have no problem ramming into you guys if we were all having fun with it. But it's like people I don't know. I don't know that guy. I'm not gonna ram into him.
Well, there's signs everywhere that say not to run into it too.
Yeah. But it was like a personal go-kart. And it was like you, me, Kyle. I'm like, I have no problem. That'll be fun. I think we'd all have more fun out of it.
Like I could see kind of like I'm surprised they don't just make them so they're able to run into each other a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know. But probably what happened is at one point some kid spun around and then like drove
flipped
like
over, like exploded.
Well, not necessarily like that, but like spun around and then they just got like a head-on collision because the kid was going the wrong direction or something like that.
Yeah, something probably around those lines. Wonder if there ever is that one like fatality. Like,
well, you think about it, it's like when I was driving, I'm like, this doesn't feel that safe though. I'm like, because I know they're made that like you can take that corner as fast as that thing can possibly go and it's not gonna flip, but there's still that thing that's like. What if it just loses traction and it flips over? It's just like there's not really too much guarding you. There's like a fucking little bar above you.
Say a fatality did happen. Would there still be one of those road shrines with like flowers and like a picture like on the side of the go-kart?
Right, like a little cross.
Yeah, would that be there?
That's where that thing you drive by yourself and you're like, I guess
everybody just takes that turn really slow.
And it just says right next to it, no bumping.
That'd be a good April Days Fool joke. Just put like a picture of just a kid and then just like a cross, just a couple of flowers. Like, what the fuck,
Just even leave the go-kart there. It's still like smoldering. Like they never.
It's like smoking.
They decided like no, we just left it there to be a sign more.
This way they learn. So the Mountain Dew one. It's the Mountain Dew card. Just picture that guy.
Yeah, that guy's probably killed the kid because it's fucking reckless driving. So it's like the kind of guy's like, I can't do this on the real roads, but I can do it here.
That's probably what it is. He's just
so this Pillsbury race. Probably a guy who works like an office. Probably hates his life.
Probably that. Wishes he had a Harley Davidson at one point in time.
Got repossessed,
but he had to sell it to like make the mortgage or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Now he just really wishes he could have that still.
Yeah.
So he takes out just frustrations on Saturday nights at fucking.
And he's looking. He's like, there's no Copenhagen car. There's no Budweiser car. I guess I'll take the Mountain Dew car.
Close enough.
Takes me back to my youth. Except it's not the Mountain Dew with the old hillbilly like popping the fucking cork off.
Oh yeah, the really old one.
Yeah.
But I also want to just make sure. Yeah, thanks for everybody listening on here, making us that high a rank.
Thank you for sticking around so much. Everybody who's listened and written in, all that.
We're getting damn close to number 100.
We still got to figure out what we're going to do. We got some ideas, though.
Got some ideas. And then also, make sure to check out Spunkles the Rabbit. And though that name might remind you of other Spunkholes...
We gotta tell the story on that, because we actually said, let's just see what happened when we type in Spunkles. Because let me tell you you spell it. You spell it Spunk Holes, put it together, one word, Spunk Holes the Rabbit. And... we actually ended up...
Spunkholes together is nothing. Together, it's just a new word that happens to be put together. But you split spunk and holes together now, and you get all kinds of pornographic sites.
We just clicked in. We just typed, let's just see, Spunkholes together. Let's just see
don't
what
put
we
the rabbit in there, just put Spunkholes.
Spunkholes, just that. We got like spunkhole.com, triple X, and then like, there was like...
And it had the fucking definition on that site, I remember. It was just like, Spunkholes, like when cum is going in a hole.
Yeah, there was one, it's just like, all angry anal bear bath. It was just like the angriest, dirtiest sounding things ever. Like, I feel like I need to take a shower just after reading that.
These, like 5 sites. I remember because we came down like it was like, oh, look at the 4th one down though is our video. And it's planned together against like gaytube.com and like Asian Combat.
And like, you know, like pull and like shitfit.com or whatever, something
like that.
Some weird ass, yeah.
But then I was like, well, maybe people have like looked at that title and kind of went like,
they have, because I showed it to other friends of mine, like Spunkholes. Like, no, it's Spunkholes, like one word.
1 word though. 1 word's nothing.
We gotta write it out now, though. We just gotta write it out. Spunkholes the rabbit.
Well, now my dad was calling the dog Spunkles.
I'm thinking like, I'm just like, because I wonder if people get scared. They're like, is this some weird like gay furry porn shit? Because if you just see that name, Spunkles the rabbit, in the picture, it's 2 rabbits looking at each other.
They're not looking at each other. They're both looking towards the postman, actually, in the picture.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
So it's not nearly as big. It's even kind of weird now. It's like,
maybe they're looking.
Are they gonna fuck that postman?
Let's go fuck behind that tree. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, then it says, then like the caption, because I made it feel like a nice like warm old child's cartoon. It's like Spunkles and his old pal, Spunkles the rabbit and his old pal Wallaby going on merry adventures together. So it sounds like even gayer. Well, there was actually a comment and like it was on like I posted like on Newgrounds. Not a comment on the video, but like you can post and they come up on there and whatnot. And there's one that was on there who was like somebody was like, get this fucking faggot gay ass shit off here, and I was just like, and this
typical Newgrounds comment.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm gonna fucking delete that. That sounds too negative. Let's get that shit out of here because I could delete him on there. And it was like, of course, the guy's picture was a fucking Meowth, so I was like, that
Meowth.
So whenever I see that, I just picture like a Meowth coming and be like, get that fucking faggot shit off here, boy.
Like smoking a fucking has a plastic bottle that spit his tobacco spit into, and then fucking adjusting his dick.
And I was thinking, well, this is before like we went and looked up like all this stuff on like what Spunkles was online as 2 separate words. So then I was like, at first I was just like, God, maybe the guy fucking hates rabbits. I'm like, because at first I was like, does he just think it's like gay because it's like
it's rated
kitty?
T. It's rated
Well,
T.
I mean, like the one thing I was thinking is like maybe because it's like rabbits are kitty or something. I don't know. It's like watch the fucking video.
You
like,
click on any.
What do you got against rabbits, huh?
You click on any like Harry Partridge or any Ego Raptor video, and you will say this is gay as shit. You'll find one of those.
Oh yeah, well,
so you always find some in.
Well, yeah, everybody has like that stuff. But at first, I was trying.
It's always Naruto or Meowth or fucking Bleach. That's always their fucking icon. Maybe an Angry Birds once. I saw that one time.
Yeah, or a picture of just 2 ass cheeks or something weird like that. You're like, why?
Or like a picture of the troll face or something like that.
Yeah, something stupid. But at first I was contemplating like, well, why? Let's just break this down and see why. What does he not like about this? You know what I mean? That's what I was wondering and stuff. And I couldn't think of anything else. I was like, why does he got something against rabbits? That's the only thing I could get together. It's just like, because it kind of like it's like. Yeah, maybe he fucking had a bad experience with Peter Cottontail or something. I don't know.
Maybe like a rabbit raped him as a child. I don't know. Like
so that's the only thing I can assume.
He went to a petting zoo. He got like gangbanged by a bunch of rabbits. They all just like
and they're all male rabbits too to make it worse.
That's
why he's all homophobic now.
So now when he goes outside, maybe they hunt him down. It's like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Just a bunch of rabbits just waiting outside for this one guy. They just fucking crowd around him, just start fucking him.
But then once it's all kind of came together, like once that like I was looking, it's like, oh well, Spunkles. When you split the word up though, now it becomes a sexual thing, and stuff. And it's not like it is like just gay sexual. It can include gay because anywhere you can put your spunk in a hole, apparently.
Well, the thing is,
and then I remember I looked at you and right, I'm like, well, that's like we could have just fucking called him Cum Shot the Rabbit.
Jizzrag the bunny.
Yeah.
What other things we could have done?
Yeah,
Jizzrag the bunny.
There's a lot of names we could have called him.
Let's see, what else can we call him? Like Cum Squirt the rat. Cum Squirt the hair.
There's a lot of these ones we could have done.
Yeah, so I don't fucking know.
But I don't know. I'm not too sure if the title has kind of scared people because I will say that like if I saw something that like if I knew what it was and I was kind of afraid of like what might be on the other side of that like
people I showed the video to. It's kind of sad because you and me both worked on this thing. We both wrote the story. I drew the characters. You animated. Mm-hmm. People realized it before we fucking did because like a friend of mine's like Spunkles the rabbit. I'm like, oh, you too? I just thought, well, together, whatever.
Well,
it just
the
makes
first
a funny,
thing is like together.
it makes a new funny word, but separate. I wasn't sure people would notice it right off the bat, but they fucking did. So
So yeah, maybe everybody else knows it's really.
they
good.
like it. The people who've seen it. So
Well, I think everybody I think that's watched it seems to really like it. But I think there's that. I think that title might scare people because I think a lot of people look at videos when they're at work and stuff, and they're afraid to like. I think if everybody watched stuff at home, they wouldn't give a fuck what they watch. You know what I mean? Because even if the worst shit came on at your house, you'd be like, that's okay, whatever.
yeah.
But when you're at work, there's that thing. It's like, oh fuck, I don't want to turn this on. Next thing you know, somebody comes by and goes like, dude, are you watching two rabbits fuck each other in their spunkles?
I'm gonna guess the Meowth kid. The Meowth kid is in Ed's office somewhere doing data input like on fucking Bing
No, but he's probably at school though, and he doesn't want his friends watching too.
in the library or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see his friends watch him. Like, watch two rabbits fuck each other in the spunkhole.
Just so you know, that's not what it's about, folks.
No,
But
there's no sexual content whatsoever.
there is no sexual content, but it is actually pretty funny. It's pretty twisted, and it's actually the first thing we made. I mean, it's barely PG-13. It's still kind of like almost. It's like we tiptoe around that T rating, but it's still like.
Well, on Newgrounds, it's like their rating system in a sense kind of like an E is pretty much a T, a T is pretty much like an R, and then an M is pretty much almost like getting close to being an NC-17.
Yeah,
and then an A is I've never really watched anything that was A on there.
I did one time by accident. I was just
Is that
curious.
the Halo one?
The Halo one, yeah, because what happened was like if you like, it was like when I first discovered Ego Raptor, and it was like if you like Ego Raptor, then you'll like this. And I was sitting down, there's like awesome Halo. You know, there are all these parodies of the awesome stuff, but just doing other video games like Ego Raptor style, what they assume is Ego Raptor style.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was like awesome like Master Chief or something. And it was just like some kind of like Sexaholics Anonymous thing, and Master Chief was all like, "Hi, I'm Master Chief, and I'm addicted to having sex with holograms." And then there's like the purple hologram chick. I forget, Anya or whatever her name is.
No, that's from
Anya,
Gears of War,
Anya?
isn't it?
Maybe it's Gears of War. Okay. Well, whatever the purple chick's name is. And she's like, yeah, give it to me. She's still like fully, she's like bent over. Then you see this big green veiny dick going in and out of her.
And weren't you watching this on a public?
I was watching it at the fucking public library, and I didn't really fucking know. It's like, oh shit, and just messaged, yeah. I'm like, oh fuck, click off. I had the A, so I'm like, okay, so I guess there's extra like language or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like.
I didn't think there was actually porn on there.
Well, it's kind of weird because there is a lot of porn on Newgrounds because that's always like the top rated videos.
Yeah, I know. That's apparently what there's one called like Z. I guess we're gonna some advertisements here. There's that one called ZTV, and I clicked on that, and that was pretty much kind of like I guess I was like, what the fuck? What's this? Why is this one so popular? I clicked on it. It looked like a newsroom show kind of thing, but it's pretty much they answer like questions and stuff as through like this anime girl character, but then they actually have like these porn parodies on the side, which is what really makes them popular.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well, I guess. Which is weird. For the longest time, I didn't think they had porn on there. I just thought, okay, there might be nudity or something.
Like ass cheeks or something, because there's always ass.
Maybe a dick or something. I assumed like, okay, there was maybe some nudity on there, but I didn't know there was like full on porn.
Like porn, yeah.
Yeah.
More like porn as in like there's like, oh, it's a dick because it's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah, maybe that's what the Master Chief one was. I didn't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just clicked off as soon as I saw this giant green veiny cock going in and out of this hologram.
You're like, holy fuck.
Okay. Time to take a break from the computer today.
You gotta be careful with those A's.
I got time to go home and wrap myself in my blanket of shame. I don't think anybody saw it, so.
So, well, at least Spunkle's made a teen, and that means that hopefully.
We got one swear word in there. One swear word, but it's kind of
well, the way that like the rating system is, it's like it asks you 4 things on Newgrounds. It says, does your thing have language in it? And it's like none, some, or lots. And that's how it is for all the things. Or nudity, or adult language, and violence. I think that's the 4 ones they have. Or not adult language, adult content. So most of our videos, it's always kind of like, it's like, well, it's got a lot of language, got no nudity, it's got a lot of adult content, but not really any violence. Sometimes violence, but not too often. Mm-hmm. And on this one, it's just kind of like, well, it's got some language, doesn't have a lot, it's got 1.
It's got 1, but it's like the big
adult
one.
Content, I guess some, because it's got, some things, and I guess Like, I'll put some on violence or whatever. Fuck it.
It's pretty much,
No nudity.
without spoiling it for you, it's pretty much kind of like a children's Peter. It's kind of like a Peter Cottontail or like a children's story taking a very dark turn out of nowhere, or progressively taking this dark.
Yeah, it's not really
turn.
like a dark turn. It's more like a progressive build.
Yeah, and well, I'm actually pretty proud of it. I think
I like that one.
I think we did a good job on this one. I think, truth be told, I think most of our listeners, I think we kind of got our podcast audience, and I think we got an audience for our videos. But if not, this is
maybe we do have more crossover. I just don't. Sometimes people might have different names on different sites, but whatever. But key thing is go to oldmanorange.com. That'll be the key way to lead there anywhere. You can go to Podomatic, vote us up, follow, share. You can even go to iTunes or Zune, download, share all that stuff.
We're also on Facebook.
But then for Spunkholes, go to make sure you go to Newgrounds, or you can go to YouTube, or you can even go to Vimeo.
So Spunkholes the Rabbit. Don't just type in Spunkholes on Google.
It'll come up as number 4 on Bing.
Right beneath like Asian sluts come gargling fuckwads or whatever. Yeah. and angry anal bear bath.
Yeah. And make sure to check out all that stuff. And then, well, I guess we got a handful of, we got our number 100 episode coming up. And then we also have our top 10 or top 15 or top something movies of the year.
We still got to figure out
no negative bullcrap, though. Because I saw somebody had like the top 10 worst movies. I'm like, well, fuck you then.
I mean, if it's like...
I know. I will say, negativity is always... It's always easier to talk more about negative things. It always is. Because when you see like a movie that's like a 10 out of 10 sometimes, somebody's like, it was good. Yeah, I liked it. That one scene was funny. Yeah. But you can't really talk. Where you're like, when a movie's pretty bad, like a fucking Wreck-It Ralph, you can go off on that for like an hour and a half. I do understand that it's a lot easier to talk about negative things, but sometimes I see like top 10 worst movies of the year. It's like now you're... Either there are people that are too critical... or the people that are just really trying to pull from,
I think it's kind of one of those things. Well, I think it depends, A, what kind of person you are, B, your profession. Like, if you're a critic and that's what you do, so sometimes if you see a movie you really hoped it was going to be good, but it really wasn't what you hoped for, maybe you're a little bit more harsher on it. Or it's kind of like you're almost angry at it because like I didn't want to see this movie in the fucking first place, but I got to because it's my job. Or you and me, I guess we get to choose what we want. So that's why we usually come out seeing more positive because we only see what we want to see.
But I think it's those ones. I mean, if you do top 10, I know that that it gives you ratings for having the worst movies, but it always feels just like that negative thing of the world.
I understand. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm trying to kind of look at it the other aspects. So part of me understands, but. It's not one of those because
the way your sound is more. That's like just watching every movie, and then if you just don't like it, you don't like it. That's different. But I mean, physically coming out at the end of the year and saying I'm going to do something on a top 10 negative is just always kind of feels like. I mean, I feel like you could say
we did it. We did a video of the top 10 most evil temptresses of all time.
So did pretty well. So yeah.
So keep that in mind. But we weren't talking about movies. We were talking about people individually.
But the thing is that was
it's comedy. It was
satire.
It was
comedy. Yeah, satire. It was supposed to be sort of parody like. Where if we made a top 10 list of movies, I can't even think of top 10. Even movies I didn't think were that great, I wouldn't call them worst movies though. That's the thing.
Well, I'm saying I think if you are someone like a critic, you probably would you see everything, so I guess you do get kind of numb to certain things. And it's kind of like whatever. Well,
that's how I kind of feel. We watch as much movies as any other critic does. That's you do.
But we see what we want to see, though. We don't. If there's something coming out that we don't want to see.
Well, we don't go out and see. But that's you're watching movies. You're watching movies.
Yeah, exactly. But one that a lot of people like is fucking Honest Trailers, and they have a few funny things. But Honest Trailers, that one really pisses me off.
Which one?
There's a YouTube channel called Honest Trailers, and what they do is. They just kind of they'll talk about a movie and they pretty much just bring the whole pretty much pick the movie apart and bring it down. They're like, get ready for, and they'll just insert movie here and they just pretty much rag on the movie. And
I just don't like that.
There's some funny things.
Well, I'm not saying you can't have fun. It's just like any comedy. If you do enough funny, if you try to be funny enough times, you'll say something funny.
And I'll say this: they even bring some things that make sense. Okay, that's a good point about that movie. But other times though, it's they do requests, so it's kind of by that point you're almost running solely off negativity. Whether
you're just nitpicking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that to me, I don't know. It's we live in this age where it's almost like cynicism is more popular than actual creativity.
It is. It is. People rather pull you down than push you up. That's definitely how it is nowadays.
And to give that honest trailers thing a little bit of credit, like there are some things I kind of chuckled at. I think that's a good point, but I don't really think it's any more impressive than like other videos that actually create something.
Well, and a lot of times like negativity, that's always the easy comedy route though.
Yeah,
it always is. It's one of those ones that doesn't take as much effort as trying to be positive and going on.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, you can always say, look at Kevin Smith. He can talk for 45 minutes on something he likes a lot.
Exactly.
That takes a lot of work right there.
It does.
And talent. But being negative, well, anybody can be negative about stuff. You see that all the time in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So till then, come by and listen to more podcasts with Old Man Orange. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Bye.